Good evening and welcome. My name is Jennifer Tafe. I am the director of the Museum of American Bird Art at Mass Audubon, and I am thrilled to welcome you all here tonight for our final lecture in our series this fall. Now feels very much like winter here in New England. And I'm thrilled to have our speaker tonight. And before I introduce him, I would like to thank everyone for attending our lectures this series. We have had four wonderful lectures. Tonight is our fifth. And I want to thank everyone who's watched our lectures live, and those of you who have caught up after the fact with our recordings that are available on our website and our YouTube channel. I also want to thank AJ Khan, who is our IT manager, who has really supported us in making all of these lectures happen. And a very special thank you to Fred and Faith Sandstrom for their incredibly generous support of this lecture series. We couldn't do it without their generosity. So without further ado, our lecture tonight will be presented by Marwin Begaye, who is an amazing artist. And I had the pleasure, honor of seeing Marwin's work in person recently. Those of you who are in the Boston area may have seen his work at the MFA in Boston this past year. The show just closed, but his work was part of an exhibition called Ancestors and Place. And Marwin had an incredible lithograph of a condor in that exhibition. And when I saw the work, I also on the exhibition label read this incredible quote that Marwin had, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Birds are about our relationships to nature, to one another, to culture. In a way, they provide a link back to the landscape. They connect the sky to the earth, and through their natural patterns of migration and annual nesting cycles, they connect us to place. The birds are sacred. And before I pass it over to Marwin, I also just want to mention that, sort of give him a proper introduction and let you know that he is an internationally exhibited artist, born in Arizona, educated at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, the Institute of American Indian Arts, and the University of Oklahoma. Right now, he is currently in Oklahoma as an associate professor of studio art at the University of Oklahoma's School of Visual Arts. And Marwin examines the issues of cultural identity through the intersection of American Indian and popular cultures. His ongoing research investigates the technical processes related to printmaking and construction of mixed media art. He has received numerous awards as an artist in residence and through juried exhibitions, and his work has been featured in numerous publications and maintains an active exhibition schedule, featured in exhibitions in New Zealand, in England, Argentina, Paraguay, Italy, Siberia, and Estonia. And his work is in private collections and also in museum collections and the US Library of Congress Prints and Photographs Division. And we are just really thrilled to have him with us tonight. And I will pass it over to Marwin. Please welcome Marwin Begaye.
Thank you. Thank the museum for inviting me to speak. But I'm going to start out with a proper introduction in the Navajo language, just kind of stating who I am. And stating my clans. She'eya desh ni slenslet na jini basachin tutu ni dashache. The Bethlehem e dashanal. Ashi dina hastkin nashle. In these lectures or introductions through the clans, we tend to create a relationship to one another, and we express our relationship, and through these clans, you can create a relationship to myself and to the land that my clan comes from, to the environment, to all the creatures we share the spaces with. And so that's how we um that's how we are um that's how we state who we are. I'm gonna bring up my slides right now. Um, I'm Navajo. I grew up in New Mexico, a little bit of Arizona, and these here are just landscape shots, just to kind of give you a sense of where I grew up, and all of the Navajo tradition, the songs, the prayers, the stories, the landscape, all of that, it really informed my work. And when I'm making an art piece, I'm always thinking about these stories and that relationship that I have to the stories, to the land, to the culture. Um, so um, just open spaces in New Mexico, and this was my backyard. Um, and we were kind of free to go, just to return before dark when I was small, and I really had humble beginnings. Back in the 70s, there was only three television channels, no internet, so you really had to entertain yourself, and I feel like that's where my creativity really was encouraged, because living so far from the nearest town, um, y- and so there was things that I the, there was games that I made up using rocks and sticks to entertain myself. And then also, there was art all around me. And one of the questions is, when did you know that, or one of the questions that is always asked to me, is that I'm asked is, when did you know you were an artist? And my response is, when I was in my mom's tummy. And art is always around, whether it's three-dimensional, two-dimensional. I, my grandmother on my father's side raised me, and I spent a lot of time with her. She was a rug weaver. She had sheep, and she had, cattle. She had a small ranch that all of the grandkids help maintain with her. So showing these kind of designs and these patterns, really, I've seen them all my life, and I'm just barely figuring out what they mean now. And that's a part of my artistic research as well. Just the composition, what these shapes mean. They're very simple shapes, but the stories behind them are very complex. And they are rooted within the Navajo tradition. This wedding basket, says a lot, and um, with the black shapes, with the red shapes, with the natural coloring of the white or the yellow um, of the plants used to weave this basket. So things like I said, things are really rooted in this, and then also being an active member in the culture. I over the summer I participated in a ceremony for one of my relatives who just became a young woman, which is what they're doing in this picture. Is the women are baking a cake. And so, listening to those songs, listening to those stories, um, you know, they really inform um, how I think and the way I think about phrases and the way I think about the philosophy. This here Satnagay Bik in the Navajo language. The translation for this is to live a long time, and the phrase is kind of broken up, or it kind of mentions the duality of male and and female, and how those two the duality is in everyone, and not just female or not just male people. It encompasses um a lot more than just that phrase, or what people normally think about this is a phrase that is commonly used, or you commonly hear it, walking beauty, right? And so it's the thinking process, and it's the planning process, and how you activate those two by kind of staying balanced. I take this phrase as staying balanced through food, and through the planning, through the thinking, through the good and the bad. Um, and and through that, you really get to know who you are as a person, and where you're standing, and those relationships that you stand in the center of your communities. And so, and it goes on and on, but this phrase is commonly used in songs, and it's commonly used um, in stories, and within these stories, within these cultural stories, I kind of looking at the bigger picture, I was focusing more on how the birds kind of play a major part within these stories, and how they come up in songs, and which kind of brings into like the reality part of it, is kind of noticing them as they migrate, or what time of year do they come. And I'm finding that these birds are quite important in when what time of year they migrate, and when they're seen. And it kind of starts it kind of activates the for us as human beings to um start ceremonies, start planting, start to do all these things along with the stars. And so here I have a whooping crane, um, and the as you notice, the background um, are my version, my stylized version of water, and and I decided to put the halos in the back of these birds, just because when I was doing research on relief printing, I started looking at the different eras of art, and I started to look at the Russian iconography paintings, and how they were paying homage to the saints, for healing people, and for us. And I was kind of thinking about it in a way. For us, we use the feathers of the bird, and we use the the characteristic of the bird to carry our prayers and to ask for healing. And so which is why I started putting halos in the back of these birds, and incorporating them with the patterns that you see. But there's an underlying pattern in on within these compositions, and those underlying patterns are referencing the two deities that, or one or two of the deities that come into our stories. And um, the water birds are usually referencing born for water, and the birds of prey are referencing a monster slayer. And these two twins, um, our Genesis stories are based around these two twins as they travel, and they are kind of superheroes. They kind of save the Navajo culture, the Navajo people, through, slaying monsters. Um and so there are these patterns that I've incorporated with them. And it's these patterns are very subtle, um and all it is me changing direction of the cut. So these two pieces are 24 by 48 inches. Um, and the anhinga that is on the right, that I was thinking about my grandmother, who she's my clan grandmother, who was into the Native American church. And so, and I'm trying to add more layers into this. And all of these are hand cut. Um, and so I'm adding a different layer with the ripples that you see, um the subtle circles kind of reminds me of a gentle rain when there is a puddle or there is a pond, and it starts to rain, and you get that the drops hit the water and they start to kind of ripple out. And then also the other subtle pattern is in reference to Born for Water, in the background. Um, so these two pieces here, um, the condor, and then also the egret. Yeah, so just kind of changing up the way I think about cutting, and using solid shapes against textures. And so as I'm cutting these, I'm researching. A part of my research is how fine I'm getting, and what can I get away with, that um, kind of that would foster the covering up mistakes, and showing and really putting a lot of light onto the birds. The condor, I cut for an exhibition that I was a part of at the UC Davis museum. Um, and that exhibition was only open 2 days, and then COVID hit. So just I think only four people got to see the whole exhibition. And we tried to extend it out, but every time we kind of set a date and all of that, the COVID just kept extending itself. So, um, but I was thinking about the Californian condors, how they are extinct, or they were extinct. And really using I have some relatives who are part Navajo and are part Mono, and I took one of the basket designs as and kind of put that into the halo, so that it kind of honors the Mono people or the California natives who are beautiful basket makers as well. And the design in there is it kind of referencing water in a way. And it's very stylized. The stars are kind of paying homage to the we believe that the our knowledge is held in the stars in different constellations. And like the birds, they tell us um, when to um, start and stop ceremonies, when we could share winter stories. And the winter time for us, for the Navajo people, are is a prime time to share stories and to really go into depth with about our stories, right? And so they inform us, but we're not allowed to share these stories during the summer. They're referenced, but you cannot go into um, in depth in them. And with the egret that is on the right, it's the same thing. It's a water bird, and for me, the background, the pattern, I'm experimenting on how fine a line I can get away with. So so um, I'm making that pattern very delicate, and also I'm cutting around the those lines. And the solid shapes that you see, the triangular shapes that you see, in reality, I just got overexcited and I started printing it. And I didn't realize until after I got the edition done that I was supposed to cut those out. But it worked out. It has a really nice contrast, and it does show the diamond shapes, or part of the diamond shapes to kind of reference Born for Water as well. And in the halo, I was thinking about the plant life that grows around water. And at this point, I'm really for a while there, I was really against um, using any color. I you know I whittled my palette down to just to black and white. And then slowly I'm starting to work the colors back into the compositions, and being very selective with my coloration. Um, so um, and you'll see where these drawings are kind of come from. I've included um, a lot of these or some images of my drawing style. I draw 3 times a day. And then also I do smaller pieces, which you'll see as well. I do those 3 times a day. These little watercolor studies, and in my head, and they're very abstract. They're very different from these pieces that you see. Um, so I'm kind of just getting used to my hand kind of moving around. Um, and as you know, at the beginning of the day, I do these drawings to kind of think about my day and what's ahead of me, all the unknowns. And at the end of the day, these drawings serve as kind of a me processing the day. And sometimes the drawings are much different. depending on what kind of day that I have. And it's just that repetition that really kind of keeps it kind of keeps my head into the art making. Here is an eagle with a Navajo basket design in the background as the halo. In the background, there's a pattern of stars, um, and the stars are contrasted by um, the solid white lines as opposed to the ones that are kind of textured. So I'm really kind of playing with that, and the background design that you see, the subtle pattern um, between that contrast is the Monster Slayer design. And it's much more subtle, and a lot of my pieces they have this line that's kind of just wandering through the compositions, and that that kind of serves me as as I'm kind of marking this. It's kind of intimidating to start to draw on a white sheet of paper. For me, it's like that, and that little squiggly line is just a way to kind of break up that space, and so I've kind of kept those um, in these. Um, Here is I'm starting to play with color just a little bit more, and the reason why I reduced my color palette just to black and white was that just I guess my addictive personality of just loving color, and every piece I just want to include all the colors and that colors can make, and just it just becomes overwhelming sometimes. And so here I'm starting to reintroduce color into my pieces. This piece is also 24 by 48. It's a collage piece. The bird is collaged in, along with I'm starting to introduce more other printmaking processes like screen printing and relief printing, and I'm just layering and layering and layering, and you'll see in some of the compositions that are coming up that where how far I've really kind of pushed this process. Um, these two pieces I created when I did a residency, a printmaking residency at Crow Shadow in Pendleton. And as you can see on the left hand side is a meadowlark singing, and in the faint blue is a drawing that I created in my sketchbook. I just enlarged it. These two pieces are 22 by 30. And also I've included, some subtle patterning in the sunsets. When I was doing my residency, I would always catch myself um kind of looking at the sunset, and and just kind of seeing all the awesome color. Like I said earlier, I love color, and I take it all in. And I was also honoring the meadowlark. And the meadowlark is a part of the landscape there. And every morning when I would take my walk, there'd be just a whole bunch of meadowlarks just kind of singing. And so I just kind of thought that I would honor them within that. And I worked with the a master printer, Judith Bauman, who who I've gotten to work with several times in this exhibition, and then the piece to the right. That one is the piece that Jennifer had mentioned, and within this piece, the I have some friends who are from Oregon who are artists, and they live along the Columbia River, the gorge, and they are indigenous as well. And a good friend of mine, um, she told me this story about the condor and how the condor and the salmon saved her people as they were starving. They couldn't find food anywhere, um, and the condor heard the salmon calling out, trying to get the people to come to the river, and so the condor um, was the vehicle that kind of brought kind of led the people to the river so that the people could eat. And the drawing the designs that are in the back are that when she was telling me that story, I was just drawing and kind of translating that story um, in my sketchbook. And so you see um, you you see those lines, those the pattern of lines that are reminiscent of the basket weaving, and you see the river kind of flowing through. You see the salmon, you see the mountains, you see the stars. So I'm when I'm kind of listening, um, I'm always drawing and I'm always translating that. And within the condor, you see a pattern of stars, you know, again referencing the knowledge in there. And then I've also used a basket design for the halo. Um, so you know, kind of listening when I travel, I people tell me stories, and I try to translate those into drawings that I could remember. With this piece here, I was asked by a friend to see if I can come up with a design for skateboards, and I was thinking of the hawk, how the hawk was a traveler, and how they do aerials in the sky trying to you know, catch the butterflies and all of that. And so I decided to cut this design out and kind of print it out. This piece is probably like 9 inches in height, and then I think 21 inches long. I might be wrong, but anyway, it's a skateboard, and I did this piece in three different versions. One that is just all black and white, one with the pink and the light blue, and then the other with a faded color from blue to yellow. And I was, you know, and these colors are I was kind of thinking about um you know, paying attention to the sky again, like when you heard the phrase, you know, don't come back until the lights are on at night. And so I was kind of thinking about that, thinking about these visual cues that we have as we're younger, as we're young kids who, you know, some of us can't aren't aware of watches, or so we have to kind of pay attention to the coloration of the sky. Um, this piece was done in Missoula. I did a residency there at the University of Montana in Missoula through Matrix Press. And this is a mixed media piece as well. The background and the pattern that um, that you see are relief prints, and the hummingbird is a screen print. So I'm thinking about water, and I'm thinking about like in our stories, the when the deities were creating the world, they were creating a space for Navajo people to exist. They they put a call out to the birds, to the bird people to um to come help. And um and so for each direction a bird appeared, and from the north is where the hummingbird comes from. And when he heard the call to help out, um he flew through the northern lights, and that's how the hummingbird got its coloration. And that's what I'm thinking about here, with the stars and with the stylized water that you see. um and I did this piece as well, with the raven. I'm thinking about how ravens are like crows. They are very, very smart, and my people have a lot of respect for them and how smart they are, and how maybe just a little bit too smart. And you see that red lines that are in the back of the raven. And I was thinking about the whole halo thing, and how the raven dismantles the halo. And again, you see those lines that I'm referencing. And the background color, the orange, is we hand colored the background. So and at this point I'm really getting into kind of putting down layers. And for me as an artist, these designs are very graphic. And I'm trying to find a space where the fine lines and the amount of patterning, um, and I'm trying to find a balance of how these lines that I make can interact with each other, and complement each other to kind of activate that space, and activate and almost to make the composition sing, just sing its own songs. I created this piece there in Missoula as well. Um, the magpie, um, and this one is titled the cheeky relative. The magpies are known for being cheeky and very, very forward in things that they want. They're almost like the crow and the raven, right? They can become tricksters, um and so anyway, the pattern in the back, um there's as the pink pattern. There are stars, and I'm thinking about, being up in Montana, and thinking about the clouds, and thinking, um just really trying to document through the mark making of my time that I was there. Um and so these pieces, these smaller pieces, these are 4x4 pieces. I started teaching myself how to um, how to print in color. And right around that time, COVID hit. So as a professor, we had to kind of shift our thinking into um, how do we teach from home, and how do we teach with non-toxic supplies. And so, um, there was a lot of YouTube watching, and kind of calling on my colleagues from around the country, trying to figure out how how to teach, and kind of how to transfer that knowledge to the students without getting them bored, and all of that. So here's where I start to kind of explore adding more color within my compositions. At about that same time, I started making the smaller compositions. This one is 10 by 10. It's a mixed media piece. There's screen printing, India ink, watercolor, Prismacolor pencil, um, and um, so I'm, yeah, I think that's all I see. Anyway, and it's just, taking close-ups of the birds that I'm making, and it's just kind of given me a chance to really think about how I can translate some of the drawings that I have into color, and but yet how do you keep the 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 layering, and kind of keeping the evidence within the composition. So I do a lot of these during my breaks from school, from teaching, where I just randomly screen print the patterns, and try to collage, try to do different things. Um, so I also really enjoy doing a lot of mezzotint, um, which is an intaglio process, and it does not rely on acid, but roughing up the surface, and one of the reasons why I really love the mezzotint is that you think like, it's the same thought as um relief printing, where you have to think about the negative space, and because we get so used to doing things in the positive space. So so it's kind of working backwards, and I call it inside out and backwards, because the image is flipped to the other side, and you're having to think about the tonal values, the white instead of the black. Again, a mezzotint, and all of these, I feel like I'm just practicing, right? I'm just kind of and but the basis of all of these pieces is how much I love to draw, and my fascination with line, with my fascination with design elements. Um, Here's a jingle dress, just the cones, and a really up close. Um, and here's a Kiowa dress, the with the elk tooth. And here I'm just trying to find different compositions that would really challenge how how fine can I get with the shapes, and with with objects, and keeping them three-dimensional, and not losing um any kind of value. So um And this is a collaboration that I did with Margaret Roach Wheeler. She is a textile artist. She's a Chickasaw here from Oklahoma. And she wove this. We were doing an ex we were a part of the same exhibition, and and we decided to do a collaboration, and she just gave me a whole box of her samples that that she was practicing with, and so this is what I came up with. It's kind of launching me into like a whole different um like a working more with textile. So kind of coming back to the original medium that I'm kind of referencing here is just a piece with a raven, and using design elements that that you see within our culture. Um, this piece here is a collaboration with Ali Keller. She is a playwright and a producer. She lives in New York City, or the New York City area. I did a residency at UCross um, for about a month, and I got uh, to spend time with a lot of really awesome artists, who were playwrights, who were um, directors, and writers, and artists from different disciplines, and we would just share stories and kind of lean on each other during um, our tough artistic time, our crises. But we laughed a lot, and this is a piece that I got to um, kind of cross over, um and there in Wyoming, is also the state bird is the meadowlark. And so when I would ride to the studio, I would always hear the meadowlarks kind of singing. And so um and I had found the ledger paper at um a store, and just kind of thinking about the ledger art that is from that area. A lot of indigenous artists use the ledger as paper to for their compositions. This piece, um, I guess these set of pieces that I'm going to show you are pieces that I came up with. The little pink and green square are their 1 inch squares, just to kind of give you like a size of the piece. Um, and here I'm really thinking about the size, right? I've been working 10 by 10, 8 by 8, with these drawings that I've been doing, and I'm starting to kind of think about what would these things look like if I enlarge them. And so I think this one is 58 by 44 inches. Um, and the design that is in there, that you kind of see the diamonds. They are from a different project, and which I'm going to kind of go into if we have enough time. Um, with these mixed media pieces, I'm using India ink. I'm using there's relief printing, there's collaging, and there's a lot of hand painting in there. And believe it or not, as I was leaving Oklahoma to go to the residency, I had to drive up because of a lot of the equipment that I kind of w wanted to use was kind of bulky. I couldn't ship them, so I drove up. Um, and so as I was leaving, I kind of set aside my paintbrushes to take with me. And the only paintbrush that I had was a half inch in width. And that's what these are created with is a half inch. They would have gotten a lot faster with the composition if I had a bigger brush. But I was just it was fun. It kind of made me slow down just a little bit, and wait for things to dry and to kind of process things. Um, this is a recently printed piece that I got done at Crow Shadow, um, and the second residency that I was there. This is in the spirit of the horse. The bluebird was very um, or the Western bluebird was very instrumental in the creation of the horse. And so you see the clouds that are there in the blue, and in the pattern that you see in the gray are the hooves of the horse that I've kind of composed into a flower, and and in the center of the flower is a star, kind of again referencing the uh referencing the knowledge of the stars. And in the lines that are kind of wisping back and forth, those are the creation of the horse, the spirit of the horse kind of coming into physical form. This here is the title of it is The Gift of Fire. Um, and in our stories, the gift of fire, um, Coyote, who is a trickster, thinks that he can save the Navajo people by um, getting fire, and he ends up lighting his tail on fire and puts the whole countryside it is on fire because he's running around trying to put out the fire. And um and um the changing woman, who is one of our deities as well, puts out a call, and the egret answers the call. Um, and they are waiting for the answer from Frog, who is also instrumental in the act of putting out the fire. Um, so um, and these are other pieces that I've created. I'm going to kind of go through just really quick. Um, and again, these are mixed media pieces. Um, these are some of those drawings that I was talking about. Just me kind of playing around with the birds that I see on a daily basis, with really using the squiggly lines. And these are India ink and watercolor. These are the drawings that look what if you opened my sketchbook. These are the type of drawings that you would see. This is a project that I worked on that is a collaboration piece to create a 15-foot wood block, and I was working with different dancers. Maggie Boyette was a dancer who worked on this collaboration with me, and she danced onto the surface of the woodblock to print it. And here is the costume that we printed on for Maggie as she performed. Here is me rolling up the 15-foot pieces and the installation that we created. And as we're laying down the the 4-foot panels, my students kind of waiting for the to help me ink them up and kind of place them. And here is Maggie kind of dancing on the surface of this. And this is just a shot that would kind of reference how big this piece is. And the piece with the eyeball is 4 foot by 4 foot. And I started working with other dancers from around the country to do the same thing Maggie did, was kind of dance on the surface. Um, this is done for scale as well, or and also just to honor my friends who invited me to do the installation. This piece was done in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And there I am rolling up a 10-foot piece that I created specifically um, for Santa Fe. And that is it. And so I hope that wasn't too much. And thank you for listening to me. And I hope it was cohesive enough to. But I love birds, and so anyway,
Thank you, Marwin. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. What an incredible feast for the eyes, and the ears. Would love to hear more about your more abstract drawings. Maybe we'll do another talk another time
yeah, yeah,
about,
yeah.
that sort of new direction for you. But just an incredible talk, and what an amazing portfolio you have. Um, we have time. Maybe we'll take one question. We have several, but we're sort of running short on time, so we'll have to come back and talk
Okay.
some more. Um, we have questions about your process, and sort of where you get, do you base your renditions on photographs, or live animals. We have questions about the tools you use, but we have one question I think could be interesting that we haven't really talked about, and that's, we have a question about how on your website you say that you often negotiate sort of the cultivation of your skills with opening doors for your students.
Yeah.
And we have someone who wants to hear more about that. Sort of tell us more about that negotiation.
And it's just, when I'm not teaching, when I'm not at home relaxing, um, or not in the studio, I do a lot of workshops, and and just kind of meeting people, and there's only one of me, right? And I can only do so much. And some of those opportunities to teach workshops, I have I can recommend one of my students who to lead the group. And also, as I'm kind of in these communities, I'm where I'm networking, um it that kind of comes into play, where I'm recommending some of my students who I know that could get the job done. And um so it's just creating spaces like that, and or recommending them for exhibitions, and just really showing them how. But I am pretty tough in the studio in the classroom, because I know what it takes um to make it happen. You know, I talked about my humble beginnings, and and I really had to work at the drawing, really had to work at composing, and kind of study and read and kind of listen. And with that, um, is why and kind of seeing the opportunities that are out there, seeing the opportunities that um, a person who kind of would work hard and who can think straight and get the job done, how much it kind of opens up to that. And and that kind of follows a lot of the printmaking culture, right? It's more of a democratic process where in the different eras, they printmaking was used to give voice to the people who didn't have a voice, right? And the different revolutions and the different, you know, just these things that kind of just these events that have paved the way for people. And I'm trying to keep within that tradition. And to your questions earlier, just sharp tools, it's just, you just got to keep your tools sharp. Um, and it's just a lot of being open to a process as well. You had mentioned process, and learning new things, and things have evolved so fast. And especially with COVID, um, we've had to kind of think about non the toxicity of materials, and how we've had to switch that, and how we've had to um, you know kind of make do. And so products change as well, because things are getting expensive. And so, like what do you do? And so you just have to adapt. And I'm always up for learning new things. I'm a lifelong learner, so I love learning, and I love seeing new processes coming up. So it's evolved so fast.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do next, and I hope that you will come back and show us what you're working on in a future talk. And thank you so much for joining us tonight, Marwin. It's been a real honor.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We will see you for our next lecture series. Stay tuned. Thank you all.